Good evening and welcome to Fact Sheet live on eTVGhana, and it is also live on our social media platforms, particularly Facebook. If you go to Facebook right now, you can search for eTVGhana and we're streaming live there. Remember, it is also live on Nisim 100.1 in Tamale. My name is Sefa Dankwa. Tonight we're talking about a very critical issue that has entangled virtually every conversation that we have in the country, and it has to do with the issue of fuel price increment in Ghana. Now, statistics tells us that from January 1st up until as we speak now, we've experienced or seen about 13 increases in petroleum prices in this country. Now, let me give you a bit of statistics and a bit of research talking about the projection regarding how crude oil is going to be sold at the world market from now up until somewhere around 2025. And this is by Fitch Solutions, Country Risk and Industry Research, and a report that was actually sent to Rickzone recently. Now, the company projected that the Brent crude will average about $70 per barrel in 2021. In 2022, we are expecting to buy Brent crude $67 per barrel, $68 per barrel in 2023. It will move to $70 per barrel in 2024, and in 2025 it is expected to move to somewhere around $73 per barrel in 2025. Now, Bloomberg consensus, which this report actually quoted, is also given a very similar picture, stating that Brent crude will average $69 per barrel in 2021, will reduce to $66.5 in 2022, $66 per barrel in 2023, $70 per barrel in 2024, $65.7 in 2025. Now, this is very critical because the report is suggesting that the current prices and circumstances surrounding the price of crude oil on the world market is likely to hit somewhere around $80 per barrel by the close of the year. And this will not just only affect lower income countries or middle income countries. It will affect virtually all economies across the globe. We are not just talking about the numbers. We are talking about the impact that these numbers bring onto economies across the globe. And let me quote that, or let me state that just recently, just after the recent increase in petroleum prices in the country, the Chief Executive Officer of the State Transport Company, STC, Nana Akomia, came out to say that the consistent increase in prices of petroleum product is a source of major concern to them. Not just that particular state-owned companies, but private road transport union and associations have also been complaining about the consistent increase in petroleum prices in the country. Some recently have been agitating for another increase in transportation fares just to cover for the shortfall that they may incur in purchasing fuel in the country. But some are saying that government has been benevolent enough. Government says that it is going to remove or suspend for 2 months a levy, which is the Price Stabilization and Recovery Levy, on the build-up that we use in calculating fuel prices in the country. Some say, well, it is good that government is doing that, but others are asking the question, how will this suffice in the long term? What will be the impact on the economy? What will be the impact on consumers of petroleum products in the country? These are matters that are going to undergird our conversation this evening. What do you think? Because from the projections so far, it looks like petroleum prices or prices of petroleum products on the world market will not go down anytime soon. What do we do to cushion consumers in the country? That's what we want to find out tonight on Fact Sheet. Let's go for a quick break. When I return, I'll introduce to you my guest who will help me do the discussion this evening. Many thanks for staying in with us. This is Fact Sheet live on eTVGhana. We are streaming live on our Facebook page. You can also listen to us live on NISIM 100.1 FM in Tamale. But let me quickly quote this. Now, as of around 5:35 p.m. this evening, Brent crude was stood at the price of Brent crude on the world market stood at $86.37, gaining some 0.44% increase. So it looks like the projections, if they stay same, what do we do? To help me do the discussion this evening are Benjamin Insian, who is research analyst with COPEC and also the General Secretary for the Ghana Private Road Transport Union, in the person of Mr. Godfred Abubire, the two of them are joining us remotely via phone. Benjamin, if you can hear me, good evening to you. Godwin, if you can hear me, good evening to you as well.
Good evening. Good evening.
So let me start the conversation with you, Benjamin. So it looks like we are not going to see an end in the increases in oil at the world market anytime soon, despite the fact that there are projections going into 2022, the prices will come down a bit. If that continues, what do we do as a state?
I think I agree with you when you say based on your projections, pump prices locally will not decline. In the sense that we started this year where we're buying petroleum refined products at $436 per metric ton. But as we speak, we're buying a metric ton of petrol at $863. Now, it tells you that prices since the beginning of this year have been surging. And they are not relenting that before December, oil platform or trade oil platforms will be selling products are somewhere $900 per metric ton for either petrol or diesel. Today, I think you quoted Brent at 86.
Yes.
And then the projections are that...
That was as of 5:35 p.m. this evening. It was standing at $86.37 and it's gained some 0.44 percentage increase over the period.
Yes. So it tells you that prices of petroleum products are on the surge, right? In the sense that the demand outweighs the supply now. And whenever the demand outweighs supplies, there's a market shortage. And when market shortage sets in, then it tells you that people have to set prices to make a certain profit out of this. And that's what Ghana is experiencing now.
So obviously the OMCs can't be faulted in this case because they want to make profit.
The market is a deregulated market. So being a deregulated market, any amount will buy the product per metric ton, the BDCs will now deduce the product in liters and then set prices, what we call the XRF prices. Now, when they set the XRF prices plus certain taxes, then we get what we call the ex-depot price. Now, the ex-depot price is where what the OMCs buy and also add their money. So, being a deregulated market, the OMCs don't have anything to do. They are just passing on the costs plus their expected margin and
Benjamin, if you can actually position yourself well, we're finding it difficult to actually hear what you're saying. So you're saying that the OMCs cannot be faulted in this case because they always will pass the added price to the final consumer. And this is what some school of thought are arguing for, that can't government step in and in fact, if there is a need for us to go back to the period where petroleum products were subsidized in the country, we should do that in the interim to cushion petroleum users in the country. You, as an organization, I know very well, and I've been following your call for some of the taxes on petroleum products to be scrapped. Should that be the case as we speak now? Or we should go to the period somewhere around 2013, 2014, where the prices of petroleum products in the country were regulated?
Yeah, I think OPEC has been making that call, and that call must be answered now, since prices are surging. For the petroleum consumer locally should benefit, right? In the sense that if you look at the price build-up, the petroleum consumer pays 2 cedis 43 pesos on a liter of petrol, and 2 cedis 41 pesos on a liter of diesel to government and government agencies, right? So you are thinking that looking at 2 cedis 43 pesos and 2 cedis 41 pesos on petrol and diesel respectively, government can look at the build-up and then take out some of the taxes, merge some of them, so that at the end of the day, the petroleum consumer will benefit.
Which of the, Benjamin, if I may ask, which of the taxes do you think government can actually scrap? What will be the impact of scrapping those taxes on revenue generation in this country?
You see, the problem we at corporate have is that whenever we mention the scrapping or elimination of some of the taxes, people push this idea of government not getting certain revenues. Now, if you look at the build-up, apart from the special petroleum tax, most of the taxes are not revenue-driven taxes. They are taxes government collects from the petroleum consumer to pay debt. Now, the more we pay these taxes for government to set off debts, the more the debt increases in the energy sector. And I'll give you an instance. For example, in 2003, the Tema Oil Refinery was in debt of 430 million cedis. Now, between 2003 and then 2015, when the government enacted Article 642, which is Tema Oil Refinery Debt Recovery Levy, or Toll Debt Recovery Levy, Article 642, the Ghanaian petroleum consumer had paid 1.5 billion to government to offset the debt at all. That is in 2003 and 2015. Now, even though the Ghanaian petroleum consumer has paid 1.5 billion Ghana cedis to government to offset the debt at all, as of 2015, Toll was still owing 2 billion Ghana cedis. So clearly it tells you that the petroleum consumer is trying to help government to offset some of the debt from the books of governments. However, government is not trying its possible best to manage this efficiently to reduce the cost and the debt in the energy sector. So some of the taxes and levies on the price build-up are not actually are not actually meant for development projects. They are taxes we pay to offset certain debts in government's books. Now, if you take, for example, you ask yourself, why did government introduce energy sector recovery levy in the new act, which is Act 1064? The reason government gives is that there is debt in the energy sector. And you ask yourself, we've been paying energy debt recovery levy since 2015. So if we've been paying energy debt recovery levy since 2015, why should there be debt again? And the government introduced 20 pesos on the price bill that telling us that they are being used, or that 20 pesos will be used to set aside certain debt in the energy sector. So it just clearly tells you that when the petroleum consumer tries his possible best to pay these levies for government to offset these debts, the debt keeps ballooning, and government finds a way of introducing additional taxes and levies on the price buzzer. So, for example, if you look at the price buzzer, now we have special petroleum tax, which is 46%. Now, from special petroleum tax, we have the two levies. Totaling 1 Ghana cedi is 44 pesos. We have 9 pesos that goes to boss. We have 10 pesos that goes to boss through primary distribution margin. We have 5 pesos that goes to MPA to offset what we call oil market margin. Now we have additional 29 pesos that goes to MPA to be distributed to transporters. Now, so if you add all these together, with every petroleum consumer per liter pays 2 cedis 43 pesos to government and government agencies. We think that taking out only price stabilization and recovery levy of 16 pesos will not solve the problem.
How will it not solve the problem? Will the price remain same?
It will not solve the problem because 16 pesos on a liter multiplied by 4.5 on a gallon is only 72 pesos, not up to 1 Ghana cedi. Now, assuming you buy 5 gallons a day with a taxi driver, you buy 5 gallons a day petrol. Now, that will be only 3 Ghana cedi pesos. Yes, it may help somewhat, but 3 Ghana cedi 50 pesos cannot even buy an additional liter to power your engine. So it is woefully inadequate. And looking at the way prices are surging internationally.
A quick one. Let me interrupt. People will not just be going to the filling stations to go and buy a liter of fuel. They may be buying 10 liters, 15 liters. So if you are to just use just a liter as the basis for analysis, don't you think you may be wrong there? Because somebody will go there and buy a gallon. In a gallon, we may have about 6 liters in a gallon. So if 79 pesos off every liter times 6, how much would that be?
Thank you very much. I think if you heard me clearly, I said a liter of petrol, price stabilizing and recovery levy is 16 pesos. Right? Now a gallon is 72 pesos. 5 gallons, which sums about 25 liters. The petroleum consumer is only benefiting 3 Ghana cedi 50 pesos. And I'm telling you that 3 Ghana cedi 60 pesos cannot buy an additional liter to support or power your engine. I hope you get me clearly. So I'm not using a liter. I'm using about 25 liters.
Okay.
And the minimum of 25 liters, I'm telling you that the petroleum consumer can save only 3 Ghana cedi 50 pesos. So it tells me that 16 pesos, it is a good call, with good intention, but it is woefully inadequate because the petroleum consumer in the long run may not even stay late because prices are surging. As I'm speaking to you, the first week of November, which is the first pricing window of November, prices are going to increase by 4% to 7%. Now, if prices are increasing by 4 to 7%, it tells you that petroleum products at the pump, diesel and petrol, will be sold around 7 Ghana cedis, 20 pesos. So taking out 16 pesos will not bring the prices back to 6 Ghana cedis era. It will still be hovering around 7 Ghana cedis. And that will not help the petroleum consumer because the petroleum consumer doesn't help the petroleum consumer. The petroleum consumer pushes it to the commuters. And at the end of the day, we are increasing the plight of the people because you have not even increased their income or their wages at work.
Benjamin, let me ask you this question. How many of the levies or taxes that have been slapped on petroleum products do you think government should scrap and why?
You see, the taxes on the petroleum products have history. If you take special petroleum tax, it came in November 2014. And its introduction, the purpose for its introduction was that prices of crude or benchmark prices of crude for Ghana's revenue from the upstream had declined. So, for example, in 2014, government benchmarked this crude per barrel at $93. Now, somewhere October 2014, crude fell. That is, Brent fell up to $54 per barrel. So, government introduced this particular special petroleum tax to set up revenue. Now, as we speaking, prices are going higher again. So if prices are going higher again, and it tells you that government is getting revenue from the upstream. For example, this year, in the 2021 budget, government projected or benchmark its crude prices at $54.75 per barrel. Today, as we speaking, crude is 86, 85, averaging $83 per barrel.
Per barrel, yeah.
Right. So if crude is $83 per barrel, government is getting additional 20 or more dollars per barrel. So if government is getting additional 20 or more dollars per barrel, why don't you look at the special petroleum tax, amend the act, reduce the 46% to maybe 20%, so that the petroleum consumer will benefit?
So on that score, you're not just calling for a total scrapping of that particular levy, you're calling for a reduction in the amount that is charged.
Yes. Because government is getting revenue from the upstream. The Bank of Ghana recently published this media report, semi-annual report. The Bank of Ghana was telling us that Ghana had made $89 million excess of projected revenue just the first half of this year. So it tells you that company is going to make about $100 and something million excess of what we projected in the 2021 budget. So why don't you take out the special petroleum tax for the petroleum consumer to benefit? Rather reduce it by 46%. It's higher for the petroleum consumer. Now let's go to the other one. Now, I've always maintained that the energy debt recovery levy on the price builder, which is 49 pesos per liter, and the energy sector recovery levy, which was just introduced this year, which is 20 pesos per liter, are just semantics. Because they are all meant to pay debt in the energy sector. So why don't we make them 49 plus 20? That is 69. We can make these taxes and reduce them. And government should be able to give us timelines as to when we are going to finish paying these debts. Because our experience and our research has shown us that the more we pay this debt, the more the increase. How we get it? So this doesn't help the petroleum consumer. So energy debt recovery levy, energy sector recovery levy will be made and pegged at maybe 50 pesos per liter. Right? Now, when you come, you talk for sanitation and pollution. I don't know, because we petroleum consumers don't actually pollute the environment. Because the products we are using in Ghana is one of the best, which is 50 ppm. The sulfur content of our products used in Ghana, that is diesel and petrol, 50 ppm. So it means that we are using one of the best in terms of international standards on the local scene. So we don't emit more carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. So why should we be paying for sanitation and pollution? Environmental law says that the one who pollutes must be the one who pays. So we call it the polluter pays principle.
Yeah.
Now, if the polluter is the one paying, those producing plastics should be made to pay, not the petroleum consumer.
But fuel users are also polluting the air. I mean, the fumes that are coming from these vehicles are polluting the air as well. Should they not pay for the pollution that they are also causing? They cause sound pollution sometimes, especially vehicles honking unnecessarily. Shouldn't they pay for that?
I agree with you that we emit. And I'm telling you that the products imported, refined products imported into the country have been regulated, and they are imported based on standards. We are importing products of only 50 per every 1,000. There's only 50 sulfur content in it, which is of higher quality and of some of the standards in Europe. And these products don't actually emit carbon dioxide like that, right? But yes, we agree. We emit carbon dioxide into the ozone layer, but we don't actually pollute. Those who pollute are the plastic producers. So if plastic producers are polluting everywhere, why should the petroleum consumer be paying 10 pesos on a liter for sanitation and pollution?
But at least they can pay something to supplement whatever it is that the polluter or the other polluters are actually paying. Benjamin, hold the line for me. Let me also go to all of these figures do really affect, a cross-section of the population. You and I, we are affected because, for instance, if the fuel prices increase at the pumps, when the taxi driver goes there to purchase it, the taxi driver may not necessarily want to actually take up that cost. The taxi driver or the trotro driver would want to push that cost over to that passenger who may board the vehicle to a particular destination. Let's go to the phone lines and speak to the General Secretary for the Ghana Private Road Transport Union, GPRTU, Mr. Godfred Abubere, who joins us via the phone line. Godfred, good evening. Thank you very much for joining us this evening. So, government has been benevolent enough, suspending for 2 months, beginning 1st of November 2021, the price stabilization levy. Is that a good thing for drivers in the country? Good omen for them?
Good evening, Robert. Good evening, and then for having me this evening. But I would want to say that we have read today that went to the Minister of Transport, and among other things, were to them was to scrap off some of the levies that are causing the fuel hikes in Ghana. Among them is the price stabilization and recovery levy. Now, if you have written and then the letter, the content includes this particular item, and government have acted on it, it will be hypocritical if you say we are not satisfied with that. But we are saying that our reason for writing is to get that particular levy cap off. But what the government has to for 2 months. But I'm saying that it's a step in the right direction. In due course of 2 months, they might see this is cap off. So it's in line with our request. So we appreciate it, but we still ask that if they could do more and get some of the additional levy that we have written, should the intention is to fuel a bit lower, not to encourage us to increase fares, then those particular levies we have mentioned should be scrapped off.
In the communique that you sent to the ministry, which specific levies did you suggest that government takes a critical look at?
We shortlisted about 6 of them, and then the 6 includes the price stabilization and then recovery levy. And
which government says that is going to suspend beginning November?
For 2 months. Yes. And that's why I said it's a step in the right direction. And we also include the NPPF levy, toll recovery levy, the BOST levy, BOST margin levy, and then the energy sector levy. There are about 6 of them we had shortlisted. And we have said that we know even scrapping off may not be the absolute solution to control the market price of, but to pushing the consumers in Ghana. And that's the June decision we have taken with government was to increase our fares by 30%, and then to maintain that equally. Government was supposed to also make sure these prices of the petroleum products are stabilized, and we will not come back to the negotiation table for further fare increment.
But I'm wondering, how do you tell governments to ensure that the prices of petroleum products are stabilized in the country, knowing very well that that particular sector is deregulated and OMCs would have to, get into the market for profits. How do you want government to come in?
One thing is that at a negotiation table, it is a give and take issue. So when we have said the profit by 30% at the price build-up, we knew the discussions, government will come up to increase price. We were asking for about 20%, but they give us 30% with the reason that will do all its best to stabilize the price and that it will not go up again. But so unfortunately that went up within the first week after the very increment, day by day.
The question that I would want to ask before we go for a break and then we'll return to continue the conversation will be, how has the previous increases in petroleum products affected driver unions in the country, particularly the GPRTU? Are you making ends meet?
Certainly not. From April this year, the fuel prices started going up. And by May, it went to certain margin. And then the MPA and other companies reduced from 9 pesos. And yet again, by the June 1st, we had to increase our price per liter to that 6.103 in that. And that was a base at which we have stood. And then did our calculations for the increment of the 30%. But as I speak to you now, it has gone up to 6%, which calculates to about 30.6 Ghana per gallon. So definitely there's an impact. It has a zero effect on the making even in our daily commercial business. Yes.
This is Fact Sheet live on eTVGhana, also live on Facebook. We're streaming live over there, live on Nisim 100.1 in Tamale. You can join the conversation. What do you make of calls on government to come in and attempt stabilizing the prices of petroleum products in the country? Would that mean that we'll be going back to the regulated regime where government will decide how much a liter of fuel is going to be sold on the market? What would that mean to OMCs and also to petroleum consumers in the country? Let's go for a break. When we return, we will try to answer those questions. Many thanks for staying on with us. This is Fact Sheet live on eTVGhana. It's also live on Nisim 100.1 FM in Tamale. We're also streaming live on Facebook. You can go to Facebook and type in the search button, eTVGhana, and you can see our live stream over there. You can leave your comments there. I'll make sure that I read some of the comments that you leave over there. We're having a conversation around fuel price increments in the country. We're looking at its implications on the consumer. We've had conversations about the fact that prices are not going to be stable anytime soon, despite the fact that there is a projection that supply of petroleum products on the world market is going to outweigh that of the demand, which is likely to bring down the price. But some other school of thought also projects that prices will still keep walloping around $70 per barrel to somewhere around $75 per barrel from now up until 2025. If that happens, what do we need to do as a state or as a country to actually cushion petroleum consumers in this country so that we don't see any negative impact or effect of the increment on the world market on our local economy? The people who've been helping me have this conversation are Benjamin Insian, who is a research analyst with COPEC and also the General Secretary for the Ghana Private Road Transport Union, Mr. Godfred Ababiri, who have all joined me on the phone lines. Benjamin, so it seems that we are unlikely to see any change in the current pricings that we are seeing at the world market. The GPRT and other road transport unions are calling on government to help in the stabilization of fuel prices in the country. Is that a good call?
It is a good cause in view.
Benjamin, if you can hear me, I'm asking whether that is a good call and how government can actually come in to help in the stabilization of petroleum products, given the fact that we are in a deregulated sector and OMCs would have to determine the price at which a liter of fuel should be sold on the market, because they are also in the market to make profit on the businesses that they are conducting. How is this a good call? The question is, how can government come in here, if not by the route of scrapping some of the taxes that you've suggested have been slapped on petroleum products in the country?
Okay, I think sometimes we are misrepresenting or misstating the fact of deregulation. Now, the OMC margin, it is the only margin that shows the change at the retail outlet. So, for example, an OMC can decide to have a margin of 15 pesos on a liter. So you go to some of the retail outlets or some of the OMCs selling their products at this Ghana cedis 10 pesos. Some can decide to say that we want 70 peso margin, and based on their cost recovery and their expected profits, 70 pesos. So the difference you see at the pump, where one sells at 6 Ghana cedis 80 pesos and 6 Ghana cedis 10 pesos, is just the difference or the variations in the OMC margin. Now, so if you understand that the OMCs, some of them are even selling at negative margin just to stay in business. So some of them don't even, they just want to break even. So if they buy the product, then add a depot, add all the taxes, they can decide to say, okay, I want only 5 pesos a liter because I want to stay in business. So the OMCs are not the problem. So if in a
if the OMCs are not a problem, who is the problem then?
The government is a problem, because after deregulation, the government found its way by introducing taxes, and the taxes are 2 Ghana cedis 43 pesos.
So you mean to say that the government is a key factor, or the government plays a key role in keeping the prices of petroleum products in the country that high?
So today, there is how much is the major OMCs selling? The major OMCs are selling a liter of petrol at 6 Ghana cedis 80 pesos. So you, in the studio, take 2 Ghana cedis 43 pesos out of this 6 Ghana cedis 80 pesos. We will buy it for 4 Ghana cedis and some pesos. So it tells you that the OMCs are not the problem, it's government. And government, the question is, how can government solve its own problem? It's by improving efficiency in the energy sector. Because when we improve efficiency in the energy sector, there will not be any debt for us to have it on the 5 bills that petroleum consumers pay. Now you ask by GPRT, the secretary, you ask him the impact of these hikes on the transport sector. Now the reason why we have many rickety cars being used as trotro in Accra, because the trotro driver cannot stay to buy a new car. Imagine every day, if you buy 5 gallons of petrol, you give Ghana government 54 Ghana cedis every day. Imagine that 54 Ghana cedis comes to you as a saving. It could be an investment in future for you to get a new vehicle on the road. A truck driver that uses diesel gives government 108 Ghana cedis. That is 10 gallons of 10 gallons of diesel. Gives government 108 Ghana cedis every day. Imagine that truck driver. Yes, even 50% of the 108 Ghana cedis every day. That can be savings and fed into investment to get a new car on the road. But the reason why most truck roads in Accra and our urban centers are rickety is because they cannot save. They take the money, accumulate it, and they go and give it to government.
But some transport consultants are also saying that one of the reasons that we see a lot of rickety cars in the country is as a result of the bad roads that we have in the country. But hold on there for me. I'll come back for your final or wrap-up comment. Let me go to Mr. Godfred Abubri, who is the General Secretary for the Ghana Private Road Transport Union, and ask if, for example, the request that you've tabled and sent to the ministry, if they feel, what happens to the intention of letting government reduce fuel prices in the country? If they fail, what will you do? Are you likely to increase transportation fares anytime soon to offset the cost or the increased cost of petroleum products in the country? I understand Mr. Godfred Abubri has actually gone off the line. Mr. Abubri, if are you on? If you can hear me.
I'm on.
You're on. Good. Good. Question I'm asking is, if government fails to adhere to some of the suggestions that you've tabled before it, what happens to you?
You know, the good thing is that time passed. Whenever fuel price goes up, what we usually just do, we just go to the negotiation table and ask for the equal lot of increment to cushion us from the new costs. But we are saying this time that it looks like we just only directly just pass on the burden onto the consumer, who are the traveling public, and puts us in business. And this time around, we think for the sake of them, we are taking this approach to see whether if government will have to reduce the fuel prices by removing the taxes. But we are saying that if that fails, that means that all transport operators are left with the only option as is the fares to match the new price of the fuel. That's what the only option.
Are we likely to see any price increments anytime soon in transportation fares?
Not too soon. Not too soon. You know, they see we are in a system where everything now to be a bit difficult. So that's why we are actually holding on to see whether the move and the follow-up that we're going to do, anything positive can come out of it. But when that is not achieved, then the only conventional way is to get up and calculate margin will increase our fares to cushion us from the new prices.
Let me finally pick a thought from Benjamin. So, what happens next for us? Because you're saying the government is a contributory factor to the fact that we've seen incessant or consistent increases in petroleum prices in the country. Should government take its hands off? Should government say that I'm not going to slap any more taxes on petroleum products? Will that suffice?
I think that will actually help the petroleum country. And government should critically look at all the acts that brought us to where we are, where the consumer pays 3% government. Whether it is at 965 Special Petroleum Act, whether it is Article 1064 in the ESLA, whether it is LIN 68, which talks about gross margin, another margin, EPPO, another thing. All these things, government will have to review them because they have an impact on the economy. Right? When government is only interested looking at the revenue aspect going to get without improving on efficiency at the energy sector, it will cripple this particular economy. federal projection. And we don't want it to go that way because prices will keep on sagging. The first window of November, prices will sag. The second window of November, when there's existing going, local price will hike. Second window of November, you will find it at 7 Ghana cedis, 50 as well. Now we are going to Christmas, approaching Christmas. When prices start hiking like this, it will have a trickling effect on all that of the which government may not even get the revenue it is expected from the other sectors of the economy. Now, to touch on the last part where you asked whether there may be an increment in fare, I think the commercial transport operators have over the years been charitable to us.
They've been charitable?
So, yes.
And how do you mean?
And we must commend them. Now, this year, they were able to increase their fare by only 50%. Now, from January to the last window of October, or this last window of October, prices of petroleum products at the top have increased 9%. But they have increased their fares by only 15%.
Benjamin,
right, so we must
I'm afraid we would have to end the conversation here. And I believe that we may have another forum to talk extensively about the issues regarding petroleum price increments in the country, the consequences or the impacts that it's having on petroleum users and consumers in this country. Thank you very much for your time this evening. And also Mr. Godfred Abubri, who is the General Secretary of the Ghana Private Road Transport Union. Thank you as well. The show will be repeated 10 a.m. tomorrow live on eTVGhana. My name is Sefa Dangwa. Up next is Girls Vibe with a Comfy Princess.